a first half of drama on Sports Sound.
A season of action and reaction.
It is a stonewall penalty kick. I was astonished at it.
Astonished that people disagree with you. Don't miss a moment of the action.
Scottish football lives here. BBC Radio Scotland.
Welcome to Tuesday's Scottish Football Podcast with me, Stephen Thompson. On Wednesday, Rangers begin their Champions League qualification campaign against Servette. The game is live on Sports Sound on BBC Radio Scotland, on your TV, on BBC Scotland and the BBC Sport Scotland website. And to help you look ahead to the game, I've been joined by none other than the Rangers manager Michael Beale and midfielder Todd Cantwell.
The Scottish Football Podcast
from BBC Radio Scotland.
Right, Michael, thanks very much for joining me. Let's get the weekend out of the way. Not the start you were hoping for. You've had a couple of days to reflect on it. What's your assessment of the game now?
It's been a difficult few days because we had such a healthy pre-season in terms of the players that come in and the optimism and excitement around the club. It was a real fresh look to the squad. That is the case, but obviously you play a game at Rangers and the result was really disappointing. I thought in the game we were very comfortable, certainly up to about 75 yards in the pitch, and then we didn't have enough forward running and we didn't risk the ball enough. And it's a new group coming together. I still felt at the end of the first half we had one or two opportunities where I would expect us to do better, and obviously the goal was disappointing, and it's been a really frustrating few days, as you can imagine. The best thing for us is this game coming now, and all we can do is play the next game that's in front of us. We can't afford to look back, we can't afford to dwell on it.
Do you think it was the case, because you had 5 new starters in the team, that they're going to take a bit of time to gel and get used to Scottish football?
Yeah, because I thought generally our build-up play, we were comfortable, we got to the areas we wanted to get to, and maybe just the front players, it's just that connection at the moment. They're all very, very good players, you know, and I'm sure they're going to prove that over time. But as a team, we're disappointed in the result of the game. We have to not let that fester now, because we've got this month, we've got so much riding on the fixtures we've got coming up. It's an exciting month, and what it's done is it's probably lowered a bit of expectation. It's raised a few eyebrows around the squad, so that's a great opportunity in itself.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose when you play for Rangers and you lose a game, people can press the panic button, can't they? Especially when you play for Rangers or Celtic. But it's important just to keep a bit of calm and, you know, a bit of realism to the situation. And you're right, get a reaction out of the players tomorrow night, and it's forgotten about. Yeah,
I don't know if it'll be completely forgotten
no,
about.
No, it never is.
Everything nowadays gets overanalyzed, and I think that's fantastic, the media that's around the game. It's important that the players inside continue to believe in the work that we're doing. You've got to feed a new group. You know, the 9 players that we signed, it's 11 if you include Todd and Nico that came in January. It's a complete new look. Everybody wanted that. You know, the fans, the board, the staff, the players inside wanted a freshness. Now we have to feed it, and I'm certain that we'll look back later in the season and still be disappointed with that result. But if it gives the right reation to the group, then I think it can be a positive,
Yeah, how much have you enjoyed the challenges of being Rangers manager since you joined the club?
Well, firstly, it's a huge privilege. It's a world-renowned football club. The media spotlight, the fan following, everything that comes with a club, the tradition. I feel hugely in a hugely privileged position. It's one that a lot of people would desire in their coaching career, and I know that it came to me very early in my first year as a manager. I feel very happy in the club. I feel like the chairman, the CEO, everybody's pulling in the right direction. It's an exciting time to be at the club. I've seen the club regrow, if you like, since 2018 in my first time here. So I enjoy the expectation. Other people call it pressure, but I think it's expectation. You want that around your team, and listen, if you come into football, whether you're a player or a coach, you want to be on the big stage where people are watching. You want to have the expectation to win. So for me, inside the club day in, day out, I've got a lot of close allies in the club when I was here before, and I've just stepped up a role.
Has that helped you?
Yeah, I think so. I think being at the club the first time round certainly helped me coming back in. It's the reason I got the job, because obviously the people inside the club knew me and knew the way that I worked, and I'm very private outside of the club, and I've got a young family, so I like to live out the way. You won't see me too often out and about. And I think those things are important. You know, football is the focal point of my life, and what a football club to work for.
Yeah, I mean, certainly from my time here as a player, you use the word expectation, but the pressure can get a lot at times. How do you switch off from that? Can you switch off from that at all?
It's probably been really difficult the last couple of days, the most difficult that I've found it. But, when you have 3 young children, they find a way, don't they? And
keep you on your toes.
I'm getting better at it. I think you have to trust with your belief and trust in your work that it's going to give you results more often than not. Certainly at a club like ours with the quality of player we got, sometimes you can tend to overthink it. Everybody in the club, fans as well, and sometimes you just got to let the ball roll. And I think that it's important that you don't try to recreate the wheel after you've had a disappointing day, that you just get back on and stay positive. And that's what the whole staff is about. It's a management team now, it's not a manager. You can't be everywhere. You've got a squad of over 30 players, so therefore 2/3 of them boys didn't play on Saturday. So they're fresh, they're ready to go on Wednesday night. They don't carry the mental fatigue of that game like everybody else, so maybe you need to feed into that.
Yeah, a lot of big players have left the club, obviously. Fashion Sakala just left as well. You've signed 9 players. Are you very content with the squad that you've got, or are you still going to look to add before the window closes?
Yeah, we're very fortunate to be able to do what we've done now. It was a conscious decision that we looked at the squad and felt after winning the league and getting to a European final, winning a Scottish Cup, there was a lot of highs and lows, 2 managers. We felt that maybe the group just needed some freshness, some players coming in, and it was important that we allowed 1 or 2 people to go as well and have a different experience in their career. There were some tough decisions along the way, but financially we had to allow that to happen to bring these guys in. I'm excited about the squad we've built, and it's just now about feeding it and almost watering the grass every day, if you know, there's an old saying, and people getting used to our league. I thought Kilmarnock away, when I saw that as the first game, I knew it was going to be interesting.
It's always tough, their home record as well. The pitch doesn't help matters.
And their home record against us, it's something we need to improve on as a club. And but that out the way, every manager will tell you they're 1 or 2 players away, but I actually need some time for this squad now to bed in. I think we've bought some good players for the long term. Naturally, every window you'll change 1 or 2, but I wouldn't envisage us having a window like this again for a while.
Right, okay. Looking ahead to tomorrow night, to the Champions League qualifier against Servette. Don't know much about them myself. Have you looked at them? What are you expecting from Servette tomorrow night? Do you think they'll come and play a kind of counter-attacking style?
Well, the 2 games against Genk were very interesting. I watched both of the games obviously closely because we were already knowing it was one of those 2 teams. They finished second in the Swiss League last year. It was quite an open league. It's a league that I obviously know well. Young boys won it with Cedric Itten, our former striker, so it was a league that I'd watched a little bit. The game with Genk were a very, very good team, and I thought Servette showed fantastic mentality and discipline in the first game to stay in the game. They were dangerous on set plays. They've got some good forward players. In the second game, they have a man sent off early in the game, and their mentality and their work ethic was outstanding. So they'll come to Ibrox with that in the back of their mind, that they've beaten a very good team. And at this stage in Europe, all the games are difficult. It's important that our fans are up. It's a real proper night of European football at Ibrox. It's important that we also go and play on the front foot and excite the fans. And I think this game, like most games in Europe, will go to the second leg late in terms of the result being in balance, because there's not too much between any of the teams.
No, it's so important though to take a positive result into the away game, because as we know, the away fixtures in European football are extremely tough. They've sold out their stadium for the game next week. It will be tough, so it's important to get that positive result tomorrow night.
I think for everybody, I think for the fans, we need to get the season started. The season started at 5:15 on Saturday, but if you're a Rangers fan, player, member of staff, it feels like we haven't started. So it's important that we start well in this game, we get the result. You're right, you go to Geneva next week, it's the first time they've sold out in nearly 20 years, so it's a huge game for them. We have to respect that, but this is a mega game for Rangers as well, for everybody involved in the club. We know we have group stage football guaranteed in one of the competitions, but we know what financially the Champions League can bring. And even getting through this game, the parachute payment you would get if you didn't win that next game. But our eyes are certainly focused on getting to the group stage and improving on last year's showing.
Yeah, and for the players, they don't need any more kind of motivation than knowing, because when you're a player, you want to play in the Champions League. It's the elite, it's where you want to be. That's all the motivation they need going into this game, isn't it?
Of course it is, yeah, and if we need anything more, then the disappointment of the last few days is an extra push as well. But this is a game that we've been looking forward to all summer. When the draw was made, your close eyes on that game of Servette and Genk. Now we know it's Servette, our eyes are on them, and it's one game at a time. We need a positive result in both games. We need to. We've got a big week coming up again against 2 weeks where we've got 3 competitions with the League Cup as well and the 2 European games, a really big home game in between. So what a time to be a football player. They've got to realise how lucky they are. Yeah. I have to, no matter how tough some days are, we have to realise where we work, who we work for and how privileged we are. This is a fantastic time for me and my players, and we have to seize the moment and the opportunities are in front of us.
And for you personally, what would it mean to be able to manage in the Champions League?
I think it's a huge thing for any coach, and certainly as a young coach, I've been in the qualifiers, I've been knocked out before as an assistant, I've been in the Europa League knockout stage as an assistant as well, and that was great. But now you're the manager, you also live in what you wanted to live as well. So again, it's important that in these moments you stay creative, you stay positive, not passive. You trust in your players and your work, because that's the shortest way to success.
Okay, well, thank you very much for joining me and good luck tomorrow night.
Top man.
A big thanks to Michael Beale for chatting to us, and now we can speak to the midfielder Todd Cantwell. Todd, thanks for joining me today. What's the feeling in the camp after a disappointment a Saturday down at Rugby Park?
Yeah, no, massively disappointed. We didn't want to start the season like that. I don't think anyone does, but we have got a big game in a completely different competition to look forward to tomorrow night.
You do, you certainly do. There's a lot of new faces in the squad, 5 new starters played at Rugby Park. Do you think they fully understand the expectation when you come to play for Rangers that you've got to win every game?
Yeah, no, I think it's something the manager makes pretty clear. It certainly did for me, and I've been in and around obviously everyone in pre-season, and that's definitely been the message. It is difficult when you come here. You do have to feel it for yourself. Words are obviously one thing, and feelings and actions are others. But no, I've got full faith that we'll be absolutely fine. Yeah,
you've had a good start to your time at Rangers since you joined in January. What have you made of Scottish football, and how would you compare it to English football?
It's difficult to compare them because they are different. Obviously, you've got the league. You have some very unique games. I mean, the game at the weekend for a start, on the Astro, and that sort of game is very different to anything you'd get in England. So it's difficult to compare. But listen, there's a massive expectation here, and rightfully so. And we've got to live up to that, and we've certainly got to provide better.
Yeah, you got a favourite away stadium yet?
No, I haven't. I wouldn't say I do.
Most people say Tynecastle. I like Tynecastle. I like playing at Pittodrie as well.
Yeah. No, there's some nice ones, but for me, playing at home is the bit that gets me 100%.
Yeah, the fans are sensational. Have you been as surprised, talking about the fans, just how big a club Rangers are?
Yeah, it is surprising. It's a massive club, but the reach is incredible. There's a lot of fans scattered all over the world, to be honest. It's a big responsibility playing for Rangers, but it's one you've got to thrive on.
Did you speak to anybody before you joined that giving you a wee steer on that? Kenny McLean, for instance?
Yeah, no, I spoke to Kenny. I spoke to a couple of people, to be fair. Big Grant Hanley as well at Norwich. But quite a few people reached out to me and said to me, it's a massive club. I'm sure you'll go up there and you'll enjoy it and you'll show everyone how good you are, but it's a massive club. And since I've been here, I can definitely feel that.
Yeah, what about Glasgow itself? Are you enjoying the city? Do you go out and about, or do you just...
Do you know what? I'm not
trying to keep yourself
I'm not really too much of a city boy, to be honest. Obviously where I come from in Norwich is where I grew up. I've been there sort of out and around the outskirts of the city, really, and then had a brief spell at Bournemouth, which was very similar. So yeah, for me, it's not been spending too much time in Glasgow, but I know some good spots.
It's probably a good choice. 6 goals, 5 assists in 21 appearances since you joined. Have you set yourself a target this season in terms of goals, in terms of assists?
Yeah, always. I think a player that wants to achieve always does do that. There's goals that you set, and then there's targets that you set as a collective. If my goals individually come the way I want them to, then I'm sure our targets will.
Are you going to give us a wee steer on what they might be?
No. I never
them to
do.
yourself.
Honestly, my mum doesn't even know my targets. I never do, because for me personally, if I hit the heights I'm trying to hit, even if I don't reach the exact target that I've set, I'll still be in a good place.
It is good to give yourself a target to hit, though, isn't it? 100%. As a team, you'll have spoken about what the aims and the objectives are this season. Last season was disappointing in terms of there was no silverware, and that's something you're looking to rectify this season.
Yeah, definitely. You know, this club has a massive history. It's rich in silverware, and you know, when you come here as a player, you want to be part of history, really. You know, for me, it's important that I come here and, you know, I can be remembered for what we won. You know, unfortunately, I think, you know, you come here and you have a good couple of seasons and you don't win anything, I don't think you'll be remembered the way you want to. So it's really important that, you know, we come here and we get some good titles and get some good seasons under our belt, really.
Yeah, for footballers in general, the Champions League is where you want to be. It's the elite competition. What would it mean to you to make it through this tie, the next one, the playoff one, and then into the group stages?
Yeah, it'd be massive. It'd be a dream come true. You know, like you just said there, it's no secret that most footballers want to play in the Champions League. They want to play in a World Cup. You know, these are the sort of things as a kid you kind of see as very unrealistic and very unlikely. So to be in a position where we've got the chance to fight for it is pretty impressive, and yeah, we're looking to do that 100%.
There'll be a few people making their European debuts tomorrow night in the game. There's obviously been 9 new players signed. Do you think that the squad is now stronger than it was when you finished the season last year?
Yeah, 100% it is. 100% it is. You know, you've mentioned it briefly there. You know, we've had a lot of new signings. That's not going to click overnight. We're going to need to give boys time, but we're also going to have to find results in the meantime. I'm absolutely certain that once, you know, we all get clicking and all get into the way that the manager wants us to play, I think it will make us all thrive.
Just a couple of questions about your teammates then to finish. Who's got the best banter in the changing room?
Best banter?
You can say yourself if you want.
There's Scott Wright and John McLaughlin, comfortably. For me personally, yeah, underdogs, massive underdogs for banter, 100%.
Right, who's the best and the worst trainer?
That's quite a difficult question, because obviously everyone has good days, everyone has bad days.
Yeah, but who's consistent?
You know, Conor Golson's pretty consistent as a trainer, if I'm being honest. Yeah, he's pretty consistent. He won't light it up, but he's pretty consistent. Worst trainer?
There's always one. There's got to be one.
Do you know what? That's difficult for me to answer. And I'm not afraid to say if there was one. There's nothing that's coming to the front of my mind.
The standards obviously very high.
It's a good standard, for sure it is, yeah.
Yeah, who's got the worst clothes?
Let me think about this.
It should be an easy answer. I mean, I could have picked any one of my teammates that I knew from the past.
There's a few. Is there
a couple of contenders?
Yeah, there is.
Let's get the names.
I'll get slaughtered for this, but I'm not 100% sure on Tav. I've seen. No.
He's gone for the captain.
Wait. Let me explain why. I've seen his casual clothes away from the club, and he looks great. He really does look like the club captain he is. When he comes in, I'm not convinced. I'm also not convinced by Kamara Roof either. And they're going to really enjoy me coming for them here. So I'm just going to leave it at them two. I'll be honest, there's worse, but I want to name them.
Right, that's good. And finally, who's got the best car?
Best car? The first one that comes to my mind is club captain, Tav.
So
he's done a bit of work.
You've taken away and you've given back.
Yeah, I think a lot of them. That'd be tough.
Good man. Right, thank you very much for joining me, and all the best tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, Todd.
Thank you.
Thank you to Todd Cantwell and to manager Michael Beale for joining me on today's Scottish Football Podcast. Rangers against Servette is live on Wednesday on Sports Sound on BBC Radio Scotland, on your TV on BBC Scotland and the BBC Sports Scotland website. And the Scottish Football Podcast drops every single day, so don't miss an episode. Just head to BBC Sounds and hit subscribe. Thanks for listening. Cheers.
BBC Sounds.